Connecting AI to Google Maps is finally possible, and it opens a whole set of possibilities. At Scrap.io, we have created a make model plugged into the Scrap.io API, and with it you can extract any Google Maps category in a few clicks. You can also make your own criteria, implementing your own filters: location, Google Maps reviews, presence of an email, and so on. But above all, with this module, all you have to do is to add actions according to your needs. Add new data to your CRM, send it to a list campaign, or use it in an email via your Gmail Pro account. Let's go crazy. We might even try to add a ChatGPT action to truly write a personalized message for each lead based on the information we have previously retrieved. That changed everything. And here is how to do it. The first thing we have to do, if it's not done already, is to create an account at Scrap.io. The good news is that your first 7 days are free of charge. And obviously, it includes the use of Scrap.io API. I have got my account. Now I have to retrieve my API key. I click on my profile and I click on Security. Then on API Keys tab, I give it a name, I click on Create, and the paramount thing here is to copy and paste your API key, for example in a TXT file, because once I click on Close, I won't have access to it anymore. Obviously, it is useless to take the one which is displayed on your screen, because I will destroy the key once the tutorial is over. I click on Close and we can move on. It's time to create our make scenario. We can use the free version of make. It will be enough for what we want to do. The first thing to be done is to create a data store. I click on it and I add a data store. A data store is also linked with a data structure, so I have to create one if it's not already done. I click on Add Item, and as a name I type next cursor. The type text is good, everything else sounds good, and I click on Save. I've got my data structure, so I click on Save. My data store is almost completed. I have to click on Browse, and I add a key. So far it's empty, so I type 1, I click on Save, and now we have implemented our data store. We can create our scenario. To create our scenario, I invite you to download the JSON file you can find in the description. Here it is, so I'm going to save it somewhere. And the process will be very simple because I simply have to import it. I click on More, Import Blueprint, and I choose my file. I open it, I click on Save, and here we go. We just need to set up a few things and to test it in order to make sure that everything works fine. I've got my data store at the beginning and at the end, and the HTTP request is related to the Scrap.io API. First of all, I click on data store and I have to choose my data store. It does make sense. The one we have previously created. Same thing for the second data store action. I click on OK, everything is correct. And for the HTTP request, I have to change the API key. I change this part by the new one. I've got some parameters as well, but we will pay more attention to this part afterwards. I click on OK and I run once. It has been done, so everything sounds correct. We've got our input and our output. We've got the status code which is equal to 200, which means that the request has been successful. And as data, we've got a lot of different things. Among them goes the Google ID, the company's name, website, phone number, full address, the price range, review ID, review count, emails. So we've got one email and social media links, Facebook, Instagram, and so on. We can get all this data, but obviously it depends on what kind of plan you have subscribed to. Now we can dive deeper into the different parameters. If you click the link in the description, you will end up with the Scrap.io API documentation. And if you do not know how to code, it is also my case, it might sound like a bit for trouble. But actually, things are really simple. What needs to be remembered is this table. We've got one column which represents our parameters, the number of results per page, the primary type, the city, the postal code, the price range, and so on. And to the right, we've got the description, which implies what kind of value is associated to the parameter. Usually it can be a number, a specific value, like the $sign for the price range, or in most cases, a boolean. Let's make an example, shall we? I want to add a filter in order to make sure I only scrape companies with a title in their website. Here is my parameter. I come back to make. I click on my HTTP request. I scroll down a little bit more. So far, these are my parameters, but I can make an additional one. The name, website has title, and as a value, boolean. So I can type 1, not 2, 1. I click on OK, and if I run it one more time, we should get a data with a website title. And website title, here it is. On the contrary, if I say website has title which is equal to 0, the following data won't have a website. Well, it's funny, there is a website, but there is no title. So our new parameter works well. Let's make a new example. Google Maps review count less than. So if I want to get a company with less than 10 reviews, I can perfectly do that. I copy my parameter's name. I will say 1. I add a new parameter and I can say 10 or 5, for example. I click on OK. I run it once and let's verify if everything is correct. Review count 3. So it's perfect. Please note that you can save your automation, otherwise it's not done automatically. The parameters I have created can also be removed if I want to. It's as simple as clicking on a cross. I click on OK. Another thing which is interesting is that each time I run my workflow, I run my automation, I will get a different company. Here we've got a company which is called Le Louche. I didn't change any parameters. If I click on run one more time, I should get something different. Now we've got Bistro, Région, blah blah blah, Strasbourg. So as you have seen, things are really simple. But please note that these parameters, one more time, depend on the kind of plan you have subscribed to. It does make sense. If you have any questions regarding this part, you can still contact our customer support. What to do once we have our data? I'm just going to give you a couple ideas, but obviously you can do so much more. For example, I can add another module and I can write a very personalized message thanks to OpenAI. I can create a completion and then I have to create a connection, so it's not the topic of the video, but you get the idea. Something we can also do is to directly send a message, an email. For that, we need to make sure that the parameter website has emails is set up to 1. As a new model, I can type Gmail. It's better if you use a professional account because you will be able to send more emails daily. And I want to send an email. I have to create a connection one more time. And in other words, the process is more or less like this. If I want to add a recipient, I can create a personalized recipient based on my HTTP request. And here is my email. I drag and drop it, and there it is. I write a customized subject, blah, 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 my content, and so on. Again, this is just an idea. You can do so much more. We can, for example, send this data to our CRM, and the process is pretty much the same. By.dive, for example, it always follows the same pattern. This is the end of the video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If it's the case, you can give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to make use of Scrub.io and its API, you can click the link in the description. By creating your account today, you can get your first 100 leads free of charge. See you next time.